Hey guys, Kenji here from The Double Cut. In the next couple episodes, I want to talk about a really fun 2-day non-stop shoot with drones here in Kyoto and Shiga.
Oh, that was close to the tree. Are you filming, dude?
As many of you know, I'm working on my first feature-length documentary project, JP. I want to include some aerial footage of Kyoto, but I don't have my own drone to fly whenever I want to. So I called up some friends who do and organized a 2-day, 2-drone shoot in Kyoto and Shiga. I learned a lot about operating drones, aerial footage, and discovered a few challenges, and I'll be sharing my thoughts in this and the following episode. So let's get right into it. Tyler is a pilot, and this is why I knew I had to get him up here to shoot. Tyler has been paying his dues on the drone scene since way back. Here we are in 2013 with just one of the many drones Tyler built himself. Old school, back when people were flying GoPros. Super hands-on, trial and error, maximizing resources, green propellers popping in the side of the 1280 by 720 shot, cardboard and Tupperware, man. Before the luxuries of GPS, autopilot, assisted hovering, go-home function, the DIY spirit manifested in flying pictures was so raw and beautiful. And to see how much the game has changed today in such a short amount of time is inspiring, to say the least. Now the marriage of technologies gives everyone, pilots and filmmakers, easy access to aerial footage. And thanks to my relationship with Tyler, I'm beginning to see the difference between flying a camera and directing aerial footage. Now Tyler has a new toy, and so does Yuki. With the team gathered, we head off to the first location.
I'm Awa Drone from Tokushima, the Inaka of Japan, and we're here to shoot some Kyoto.
Have you shot Kyoto before?
I have, once before, a few weeks ago.
Hey, I'm Taryn. I work at Kyoto Tours, and I was the one who brought Tyler here to Kyoto. A few weeks back, we shot some great footage at Arashiyama and then out in the countryside.
The kind folks at JP saw my footage and wanted to have some of their own, so here we are again.
今日はアワドローンさんと JP のコラボで、素晴らしい空撮を楽しみに来ました。はい、MOR からもちょっとお手伝いできればと思います。
Here at Daimonji, supposedly this is the spot in the tale of Genji, where when Genji's leaving Kyoto for the last time, he comes up here to this mountain and he looks out over the city here. And this is kind of the final moment of his story in that novel. So they say that this is supposedly the greatest view of the whole city.
Get my little Zen moment before we go. Everyone's watching. I hate this. It's like... みんな見てますね。
With this shot, it's a long reveal, with the subjects coming in from the bottom of the frame. And a lot of these kinds of shots have the subject revealed laterally, but I like this variation. And here's what I want to point out. And maybe you notice that people are walking backwards, and that's because this shot is actually being played in reverse. Because the real-time version started with a clear view of the entire subject in the frame, like right about now. But I like the pulling out, slow reveal version better, and depending on the movement in the shot, you can't even tell sometimes. And it's nice to have this flexibility in the editing room. All the drone footage I got was in a slightly wider aspect ratio, so I needed to make a quick adjustment. Now about camera movement. On the ground is hard enough, but camera movement while simultaneously flying a drone, it's a lot harder than it sounds, and it takes a lot of practice. And this is where drone pilot skills matter. It takes fingertip precision on the controls. So here we have a bird's eye view shot, combined with a tilt, combined with a gigantic rail movement. And in one shot, you can pack so much information, and I just go crazy imagining the possibilities, thinking about what kind of long takes could be done with a drone. But here's the downside. If we back up and look closely at the beginning of the shot, we see that the mountains are very differently exposed than the sky at the end of the shot. And this brings me to my next point. Into the editor we go. Real quick, I wasn't sure how Final Cut Pro would handle the 4K footage, but I found it handles scrubbing, edits, and playback pretty well. Like I said earlier, you can put a lot of information in the same take, but that also means you're going to have a lot of different exposures in the same take. For example, Here at the beginning of the shot, if I make an adjustment to the exposure in the mountains, that same exposure is going to then affect the end of the shot, and now my sky is blown out. And conversely, if I make an adjustment to the sky at the end of the shot, that same adjustment is then going to mess up the exposure at the beginning of the shot. So what do I do? Okay, back to work. I've spent a lot of time watching tutorials, enough to know that this exposure problem can be solved in a number of ways. One solution is to get a camera with a high enough dynamic range that you can preserve the details in the highlights and the shadows. Another solution could be using masks so that you can adjust exposure, but only in selective parts of the composition. Yeah, I'm not on either of those levels right now anyway. So instead, I'm going to opt for a third solution, which is more DIY. And in the following BTS episode, I'll give an example of how I created a workaround to this issue of changing exposure in the same long take.
So I'm going to come up, I'm going to finish the shot right around here. Does that work? I'm going to start from back where I just did.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm going to come back down. So that's at 320.
As I said before, I don't have my own drone, but I do have a very clear vision of the kind of aerial footage that I want. For example, here I wanted to get a drone shot of a drone, and Tyler nailed this one. But I felt like a kid again. Like when you go to your friend's house and everyone's playing games and you're the only one without a controller. And it's not like I'm gonna take my friend's controller, even though I want to because I want to play. I really should just get my own because I like having control over the tools I use to bring my ideas to life. And it can be really frustrating when you have such a clear vision of what you want, but having the tools and access just out of reach. And it's in these kinds of circumstances, I think, that we all could use practice in conveying our ideas effectively to those with the tools and access until we have it ourselves. And we can never get enough practice in this area.
It's a little bit, or would you rather be like
I'd rather be like that.
Like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
We are at Hiezan. This is one of the highest peaks in Kyoto. And there's a lot of temples up here. There used to be a hell of a lot more. Nobunaga burned them all down, killed all the priests here. But they rebuilt. And that drone is really loud, huh?
It's easy to think that drones are just cameras in the sky, but they're not. What makes aerial footage special is how a single take can bring the audience on a ride through space otherwise inaccessible. Here's something I saw Tyler do quite a bit. He lines up his drone just as a golfer lines up his ball for a putt on the green. You can see him reading the lay of the land, plotting the course, and making calculations. All for that glorious shot that takes you on a ride. That's all for this BTS episode. To my fellow pilots out there, keep flying. And to my filmmakers out there, keep shooting.